Father, we just thank you for today, and we thank you for each other. We thank you for the ability for all of us to be here this afternoon. And Lord, we do continue to pray for our community, those people that we serve, for their safekeeping, for their good health. And we just thank you, Lord, for some of the good stories that we've had in recent months of just businesses recovering and people getting back to good health. But Lord, we are still fully appreciative of the downturn that many people have had in their lives and in the family situations. And Lord, we just bring this afternoon's meeting before you and the agenda and everything to be discussed. We just ask for your wisdom and for clarity in the decisions that we make. We just ask this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Saviour. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. And with that, just wait a second or two before we start the stream. Okay, we're good to go? Yeah. Councillor Ewings.
I just wondered if we could offer thoughts to one of our fellow councillors, Lucy Wood, who's actually been tested COVID positive despite having 2 vaccinations, etc. She's feeling quite poorly, as we know, but I didn't want it going live. If we could offer thoughts for Lucy at this difficult time for her.
Well, I think a moment's reflection would be good. I must admit I did correspond with Lucy because having had COVID last May and realising how difficult and emotional the journey is, I did send her my best wishes. But I'm sure I know many of us as councillors have anyway. But it'd be good just to have a moment.
Thank you, members, and I'm sure that goes without saying that our thoughts were with everybody that is suffering at the moment. I think then, if we are ready to go then, Mr. Gardner? Thank you. In that case, we can start streaming, please. Okay, thank you. Thank you, members, for attending today's meeting. Mr. White, do we have any apologies, please?
We do, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, members. We've got apologies from Councillors Coucil, Kemp, Moody, Moyes and Wood. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. White. Moving on to item 2, the minutes from the last meeting. Are members happy to accept and agree as a true and correct record the annual council meeting of the 25th of May 2021? Thank you, members. Item 3, does anyone have any declarations of interest to declare personal or disclosable pecuniary interests with any item that is coming up on the agenda? Perfect. Obviously, if that becomes clear further on, then I'm sure you'll let us know when you need to. Thank you. Item 4, communications and business brought forward by the Mayor. I have 2 items, if you'll indulge me with that, please. One is a reminder of the Leisure Centre visits. That's this Thursday on the 22nd of July. So that is Parklands from 10 until 12 and Meadowlands from 2 until 4. Can we please let Mr. White know if you're planning on attending and if you have any questions that you wish to raise for those meetings and visits? Thank you. The second one is notification that will come out in the members' bulletin as well. And that is going to be my first fundraising event, which is going to be a golf match on the 24th of September. If there are any budding golfers, or if you even just fancy having a go, please email me and I will send on a form for your entries. I look forward to seeing some of you there, hopefully. Item 5 then, I have no business to be brought forward by the Mayor, and disappointingly we have no public questions for item 6, and we have no questions on notice for item 7. Equally, no motions on notice for item 8, so we can skip gaily on to item 9, which are the committee minutes, and I call on Councillor Yelland to present the minutes from the DM&L committee meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I move that the minutes of the meetings of the Development Management and Licensing Committee held on the 20th of April 2021 and 15th of June 2021 be received and noted. They are DM&L 61 to DM&L 67 and DMNL 1 to DMNL 7 and can be found between pages 11 to 13 and 15 to 18 in your papers. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, members, duly noted. And we have then the Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting from the 20th of April. I call upon Councillor Ewings to present those, please.
Could I ask Councillor Kimber? He might be a bit more aware than I am. I'm sorry, I've just come in from work, so I haven't looked. Sorry.
Councillor Kimber, are you happy to present the minutes?
He hasn't got them either then. Right.
I think then, members, we can take the minutes for the Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting on the 20th of April are noted. Hub Committee meetings then on the 8th of June, 13th of July. Councillor Drury, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Hub Committee held on the 8th of June 2021 and the 13th of July 2021 be received and noted. They are HC 1/21 to HC 10/21 and HC 11/21 to HC 18/21 and can be found between pages 23 to 27 and pages 1 to 4 of the separate circulation. Can I have a seconder, please?
Thank you, Councillor. I think we can take those as noted then. Item 10, a plan for West Devon. Councillor Drury, can you please introduce this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, you've been circulated a copy of the draft plan for West Devon. This is very much a top-level vision of how we in West Devon would like to help shape and improve the borough over the next 15 to 20 years. The document in front of you is very much a summary and a visionary document. It is short on detail, deliberately so. Delivery plans will be worked up prior to September by lead members and officers in consultation with their advisory groups. Our ability to deliver will depend on resources and priorities at the time, but that should not deflect from the overall aims set out in the document. The document is meant to be aspirational and inspirational, setting out the West Devon that we want to live in. Some of the proposals are not in our gift, but will require us to work with and lobby others. It's important that this is recognised. The report addresses a number of different audiences, setting out our view of the direction that West Devon intends to take. Those audiences include residents, partners, and other organisations, and, importantly, council staff. These are all important constituencies that we need to take with us on this journey. It also sets out the themes that dominate our council and makes it clear how they will all interact to build the community that we want. The next step in this process is to consult and to use that consultation to shape and develop the document further.
Alongside that, lead members and their advisory groups, working with lead officers, will develop the headline actions into delivery plans, firming up exactly what we will achieve and how we will achieve it. This must be an active, live document. It must reflect the aspirations of our residents and the council, and it will be supported by much more detail as the plan progresses. In that sense, we realise there are some changes that need to be made to the document prior to its issue next week, and the recommendation that is going to be brought forward has been amended to allow some small change to this nature to be made over the next few days. Members, I commend the document to you and would welcome any questions on this subject. Thank you.
Councillor Kimber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at page 29, sections 1.2 and page 32.2, which talks about the sequence of full member workshops. And then moving on to page 30, section 2.4, it says, in view of this and prior to adoption, the actions and ideas put forward by members were collected and triaged into the most appropriate vehicle for development and delivery. It feels to me like some ideas were not included. So my question really is, were any ideas removed? And if so, which ones? And do we have a list of these ideas and the reason for the removal? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kimber. As you'll recollect, there were a lot of ideas that came forward in this process. We do have to focus these down onto a number of areas that we want to concentrate on, and we will have an eye on resources as well in doing so. That said, any idea that comes forward will not be forgotten and can always be resurrected. And I think the advisory groups will have a really important role to play in this moving forward. We've also got to bear in mind that this whole process must, of course, dovetail in with our budget setting process in order that we get the resources right and will be able to deliver whatever comes forward. The plain fact is we will not be able to deliver everything that we would like to, but I think we must try and deliver what we can, and we must do that moving along the route towards a vision that we want to achieve, and that is what this document sets out. So, yes, there has been a process. Some things have been weeded out, I think, in order to get to this stage, but the detail must follow, and any ideas that members have can be inserted into that detail at a later point, subject, of course, to the decisions made by Hub and by Council in due course, because we will have to have a mind on the resourcing of whatever needs to be done. I hope that answers in part your question, Councillor, and I'm afraid I can't offer more detail than that, but I fully take your point on board.
Thank you. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Consultations with SLT seem to suggest that there will be consultation on the plan, first of all with the general public, secondly with our partners, and most importantly internally. I wonder if I can ask, please, for confirmation of the timeline for those consultations, whether they will be happening consecutively, and what the actual mechanism will be, especially in respect to consultation with the general public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Those consultations will be taking place over the next 6 weeks. But again, as I said previously, I see this as very much a live and working document. And I don't ever expect, in that sense, consultations to end. But specifically, over the next 6 weeks, and they will happen concurrently, there will be questionnaires sent out and made available online and on paper. And we will be interested in feedback that comes back in. Again, clearly, we cannot at any point include potentially every idea that comes back within our plan, but I would certainly like to consider ideas and take the best ones forward. So I don't know if there's anything more specific than that you'd like to know, but clearly the new structure of advisory groups will be able to get into the detail much more than we can at this point.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I was just looking also for confirmation that the consultation with the three concerned bodies will be happening at the same time.
Yes, we will be talking to partner agencies and with parish councils at the same time. So there are moves afoot to set up those consultations, and everything will be happening concurrently so that we can get on with this process and get to the point where we can get some granular detail down and actually start taking action and moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Sellers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. August is generally potentially a tricky month to have a consultation. I note that the consultation is going to be 6 weeks. What is our comms department going to do to ensure we get really strong public engagement? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sellis. Yes, I fully appreciate the timing. Not ideal, I suspect, but the comms department is already working at bringing forward a plan to engage within each of the different themes that we've identified, and I fully expect that it will be a thorough and an intensive consultation that will involve as many people as possible. Again, we're not going to shut things off when we get to the end of that 6 weeks. I feel this is something that will develop over time and we will continue to work on and improve. But in order to give us a start to get the delivery plan in place for September, it's important that we push ahead now and get everything done now.
Thank you. Councillor Ridges.
Okay, good. Yes, picking on those points of research, I suppose one of my concerns is the summer, and also having research done in the right way. Typically, you go out and do the qualitative research where you get the ideas, and then you do the quantitative research to validate the ideas at much larger scale. And I would be very keen and really wanting to put a marker down for making sure we do the qualitative research, not with just those who engage, typically people on parish councils who already have come forward, but for the vast majority of ours residents working day to day, both families working, both parents working or not, but don't engage with the council that much apart from paying the bills and having their council tax collected and putting a planning application in now and again. But I'm really keen to see that they are consulted in the first stage and represented in the first stage of putting their ideas forward, or not, and also that they are also consulted on a quantitative level after we have got the qualitative the ideas together, and then we get a wider view, a more representative view, a robust view on those ideas through quantitative research, which could be whether it's on street or via SurveyMonkey or via paper methods or whatever. But I was just wondering, therefore, are we rushing it a bit quickly? Do we need to take a little bit of time, a couple of weeks more, even just to let that sort of robust research process run its course? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ridge. I fully appreciate what you say. I don't believe we are rushing it. I think there is a need for us to move forward quickly, but I don't believe that is the same as rushing it. The plan that is in place will, I think, involve as many people as possible. And I think as we start to get to that more granular detail following September, where we start talking about specific targets that we want to hit, I think that's probably where the more quantitative stuff will come in, revolving around specific programs and plans that we would like to introduce. I don't know whether Mr. Hawke would like to add anything to that, but we do want to engage as full as we can, and we do want to make sure that we do speak to the right people in the right places.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking a whole range of approaches for the consultation and engagement, and we're acutely aware that many of our residents may not be interested in picking up a 20-page document and flipping through it and giving their feedback. So we're looking at a range of methods that we can do that. So we've got a series of, and it won't capture everybody, but we've got a series of social media posts that will run over the summer that are on specific topics. So if you don't wish to pick up the whole document and read the whole document, we can get your views on those subjects that interest you, because ultimately those are the subjects that people will respond to. If they're desperate to get a local house, They'll respond to any questions we ask about housing. So I think we're targeting it in that way. We're breaking it down to capture that data throughout the summer, which gives us the benefit of tweaking it. So we're not just pushing out a 20-question survey monkey, which I'm sure many of us will receive lots of. So we're taking many different approaches, as well as conversations that will happen with neighbouring authorities, town councils. So that will all start next week, and we can tweak it as we go through the summer to make sure if we're not getting the responses we need, and that's not to say the responses we want, but the responses we need. If we're not getting that engagement level, we'll change the approach to make sure that we do.
Councillor Richards.
Just come back on that one point. Yes, I mean, I appreciate there's a variety of sources, but one of the things that always does concern me is we're talking to the people on Facebook, but they've elected to follow us. They're interested in us. I think it's the people who aren't interested in us, whether it's a randomised survey or something like that, picking up one in X of the Devon population. That's what I'd like to see, because then it just feels like everybody's been included. And as I say, you can't do it at a qualitative level when you start getting the ideas. That has to come probably from engaged people, but at a quantitative level you can, and that's why I'd like to see a robust sample just to validate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richards. And just to respond to that, another element, and I think it was in the member bulletin a few weeks ago, we have actually started an on-street survey as well, which has been running for 3 weeks now. I think we're up to about 276 responses. There is some reluctance for people to engage, obviously, with COVID, but we've tried to make that as safe as we possibly can. But that's attracting good results, and those are the sorts of questions like, they're not focused on the document, but they're really focused on what could make West Devon a better place for you. And it's that sort of information that we're capturing through there. And that will cover visitors. So we've carved it up to visitors, businesses and residents. So we'll get a broad view of responses to that, which we'll be able to feed into the advisory groups over the summer.
Thank you. Councillor Hayworth.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just thinking, if you sent us some of these questions, we could post them into our local hubs, that we all have them, and then that's a way of getting to the grassroots in our individual areas.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pick up on the street interviews that were mentioned. Is this just in the main towns, or are you likely to go to the great metropolis of Drew Stainton? Yeah.
We are covering all areas. It's not just the towns. We've got a team out, and they're not a team of council officers, but we have got a team out there who are covering a broad range of areas, and because obviously we don't want it just to be town centred, and we'll be able to break that down by our more rural areas as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My observation is on page 76, which is headed, "We will be a listening, accessible and caring council." And then under actions, it says, "enabling you to access all council services online by developing a customer access digital strategy." My comment is we must be mindful that probably 10% of the residents in this area don't have internet connections. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure Mr. Hawke has noted that. Crozier, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's one hollow promise here, and that's on empty homes. In Biralston, we've had a home empty for 15 years, yet a lot of lobbying has come from the Beer Ferrers Council to get this home back into livability and somebody living in it. That is... Are we going to have action now? This is good news. Thank you.
Who would like to field that particular
I'll
one?
respond to that. I'd very much like to see action on things like that, and if this is a way that we can bring that more into focus and move it forward, then so much the better. So it's definitely one that we'll be working with the lead member of the appropriate group to move that forward. So I'd very much support looking at that sort of thing.
Thank you. Mr. Molyneux, you'd like to add to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so as an officer team, we're starting to bring together what would probably be desperate bits of the council. So areas that look at empty homes, aligning those with the homelessness team and the housing team, so that we start to look at things holistically, so that we can start to address the issues that we can. I would say in terms of empty homes that the key challenge is the cost and the time to try and bring some of these back into use. It is really, really challenging when you have owners who refuse to engage and don't engage, and it's a difficult nut to crack, but we are absolutely committed to try and crack it.
Thank you, Mr. Molyneux. I do have some sympathy, bearing in mind I have a semi-derelict building just down the road from me, and it is heartbreaking to see the state of that one, bearing in mind the age of the building and its significance along the Trafalgar Way. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a technical point. I was just looking through the document, and it may be the way my machine is resolving it, but some of the images are quite pixelated. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen a print-out version and the version that is on that, but you know, the document's laid out really nicely, and it would be just, I think, important that we make sure that those images are sharp. So it may be my machine, but I thought I'd mention it just in case. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hawke.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. We will take a look at that, but what I would say is all of the imagery in the document is up for review anyway. We've started, as part of our engagement, we've started a photo contest across West Devon, and we've already had 33 photos submitted, because actually I think we take on board some of the comments at Hub Committee that actually, is it fully representative of the whole of West Devon? So the imagery within the document will change, and we'll certainly make sure that it is high res for the final version.
Yes, Councillor.
Just say, there was no criticism intended of the document. It was purely a technical comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that was noted, Councillor Ball. If we have no further questions, then members, Councillor Jury, would you like to propose a recommendation?
Thank you. I would like to propose the recommendations which are set out on page 29 of your agenda papers, with the proviso that the first recommendation is amended as follows. Item 1, to delegate authority to the head of strategy and projects in consultation with the lead hub committee members to finalise the content of the draft plan for West Devon prior to commencing a formal public consultation exercise in line with the adopted community consultation and engagement strategy. The second item to remain as is on your papers. If I could move that and have a seconder, please.
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. In that case, members, we can move into debate. Councillor Cheadle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I intend to support this plan once it's amended and endorsed by lead hub members. It's ambitious, it's aspirational, but it does, however, come with a health warning. It depends on large part on two assumptions: that the application to the government for significant financial grants will be successful, and that our partners, many of whom are actually the authorities charged with delivering parts of this plan, will share our vision and deliver with our commitment to support them. The plan sets out to test these assumptions. Let's hope both are fulfilled. So the plan is untested and uncosted at this stage. For me, it resembles a party manifesto, setting out a vision, but not the means by which to achieve it. But we have to start somewhere, and to test the appetite of residents and our partners. But if you're looking to see how long it might take the council to respond to your email about a missed bin collection or report fly tipping, this is not the document for you. For that, stay put and await the presentation of the delivery plans, which must set out in detail how the council will perform against the things it has said it will do, and in many cases has a statutory duty to do. I look forward to agreeing these delivery plans at our September council meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. Councillor Pearce. Apologies, Councillor Ball.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, and thank you. Yeah, just having looked through the documents online, I mean, for me, I'm really pleased with what's in front of us. I note the comments that have just been made, but I think we do have to start somewhere, and I think it gives an opportunity for all of us as members, regardless of our roles and responsibilities, to work together with the hub members, the lead hub members, in the groups, in the advisory groups that we've been assigned to and volunteered for, and it gives us that opportunity to have that say on a ground level and an input from our own experiences and knowledge. And I think we're embarking on what is a really important process for the authority, and the consultation, I think, is really critical in this. And I note the points that were made earlier on, and support actually the points that were made earlier on about making sure that the consultation is done in the right way and gaining the right evidence at the right time and processing that in the right way. It's easy to put slants on and your own sort of thoughts of what is actually meant. We need to work really hard to make sure that the evidence that we gain through that consultation process is really what we're receiving, if you know what I mean. So I think that's really important. But I think there's some extra bonuses in this for us, because for the past at least 12 months, probably longer, we've had very little consultation, very little input or contact, if you like, with the people who live in our communities, other than through our individual councillor work, if you see what I mean. But as an authority, we haven't, and it gives us a real opportunity as we hopefully are moving out of COVID to give us that opportunity to engage in a new way with an opportunity to build a new vision, and actually a new way potentially of working. And I think I was listening to the comments that Councillor Cheadle made, and I as I say, I have some sympathy with some of those points. But I think regardless of whether funding is available for some of these things or not, it gives us the opportunity to rethink about the way we do things. And there may be some ideas and some thoughts that come up that actually need very little financial input. So let's not necessarily assume that everything is not going to be able to be done because we don't have the money. We may actually be able to save money by doing things in different ways. Although the funding obviously will be important for a lot of it, I recognise that. But I fully support this, and we'll be voting in favour. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Councillor Sellis.
Thank you. I think broadly I welcome this. I do seek reassurance that West Devon, as a significant farming community, I'm seeking reassurance that the farming community will be asked to engage in this consultation. And as we've declared both climate and biodiversity emergencies, we need to be sure that our precious West Devon Borough Council land is used for food production, and that buildings that we look for potential clean green energy. And I just want to be assured that this is the next 15 years, that for our children and our children's children, that we do make sure that we look into this. And, so I think broadly speaking, we are. I just want to highlight that.
Thank you, Councillor Sellis.
If I can respond, and I'd just like to reassure councillors that we will work very closely with the farming community. The sorts of issues that you've referred to cross over a number of the themes, and I'm sure that members working in the advisory groups will have those to mind when they are looking at future policy and the details of the plans that we're going to deliver. So I hope that's reassuring.
Thank you. Councillor Hayworth.
I just wanted to say I'm really very encouraged and pleased to see the extent to which talking about active travel and cycling is worked into this document. The multi-use trails, they're great for creating green corridors for biodiversity. They reduce carbon and they work on the health and well-being of everybody in West Devon. I just think they're really pleased to see the emphasis placed on getting that aspect right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayworth. Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Hayworth's probably taken some of my words off me, actually, but I just thought reading through the document, I mean, my pictures are very well pixelated, and so I've got no issues there. And it was mentioned about being maybe a sort of a manifesto, but I've got no problems with that either, really, because I think what it does lay out is what a great place West Devon is. As it says, it's a place to grow, inspire, to succeed, and in many ways that's what we want, isn't it? We want to encourage businesses, we want to encourage people into the area. The complete opposite is actually this is not the place to live. Please don't come here. But actually what we're doing is trying to encourage people to come and live here, to actually put into our community. The people are already here to have their say, and I just think it's really, if the people have put it together, I think they've done an excellent job. I think that should be noted, because there's obviously a lot of work's gone into it. And even the spread of the photographs, you start going through and you start, obviously all of you look for your own areas to make sure. And I think even the photographs are fairly well spread of the whole borough. And I'd just like to make comment. I think it's an excellent document.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Hawke's team on a job extremely well done. It's certainly a very catching document. Started off considering this several weeks ago when it first sort of rose above the parapet. And my concern then was that when this was presented to, say Joe Public, the reader may not really understand exactly who and what West Devon Borough Council is. And let's face it, that is a problem out there on the street. People, especially in Tavistock, faced with 3 levels of administration, sometimes have difficulty understanding exactly where we stand and what we produce. However, having gone through the document and thought about it hard, and thought about the consultation and also the comments made by the leader just now, I'm actually beginning to think that this document will also serve to help people understand exactly what we are responsible for and what we intend to do. So in that respect, it really gets my vote, and I think it's an extremely good document. Look forward to getting some response from the streets and our partners, and of course internally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hipsey. Councillor Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me? I'm really pleased to see that the natural environment and carbon reduction are being given so much prominence in the plan for West Devon. As we've seen in the news lately, global heating is starting to have severe consequences for ordinary people. And I think in West Devon, although we're a small council, we're really trying to have a vision and an aim to protect our people from some of the worst consequences that could happen. I think this document is really to be applauded, and the team that put it together. So, and also, can I mention that we've got a current survey regarding the possibility of a community-run electric car and bike hire scheme running till the 24th of August. It's one of the aims in the natural environment plan. And if we can get our active travel pass up and running as well, people can use their electric bikes quite safely on those. So I would urge people to look online and look into the survey. More information can be had at cocars.co.uk. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daniels. Councillor Ridger.
Yes, I think this is a really well-designed document. I love the content and the scope of it. And reading through, I particularly like the tone of voice of which, the way it comes over. I think what it sets out is, and it gives me in particular reassurance, because, like Councillor Jury said, and other councillors have said, that this is a great place to live. It is, and it's a successful, well-run council, and people fundamentally are happy here. But it's a great way to go out, to take a check and look forward. But I think this, what I'm talking about, this tone of voice, makes me feel real confident that I think when we talk about the objectives, they're going to be realistic and achievable. We're not going to set out to overpromise. So I think it in particular is an excellent document, and well done for the team that put it together. We talk about a customer charter here, as long as we don't end up with a citizens one, because we've had one of those.
Thank you, Councillor Ridgers. If that's everybody then.
Madam, if you'll indulge me for a second go, just to say that in order to get this document out when we want to get it out, there's a very fast fuse on hub members endorsing and agreeing the content of this document. We haven't mentioned that today, but as a result of conversations today, the document may be slightly amended. I know Mr. Hawke has got some amendments sort of up the sleeve ready to go in as well. Hub members will be asked, I think, on Wednesday to endorse their particular section of the plan, and their answers have to be back by Thursday. So there is no time to waste in getting this document ready, because we want to start getting it out for consultation on Monday next week. So that timetable is actually absolutely critical. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cheadle. There is, of course, an expectation that members would be checking emails daily in any respect. In that case, then, if we are all done, can we please vote on the proposal put forward by Councillor Jury, please? Those in support?
That is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Matt.
Thank you, members. I think we had a good airing on that one. Item 11, as members may be aware, that the Council Constitution has been deferred until the next meeting in September. So item 12 is the establishment of hub advisory groups and council appointments. Councillor Jury, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members have had circulated a paper and some lists of appointments. The paper and the lists serve to address a number of issues. Firstly, to note the political balance of the council. Secondly, to make some minor changes to the makeup of standards, overview and scrutiny and audit committees. And perhaps most importantly in this context, to set up 8 hub advisory groups and the meetings that those groups will then hold in the run-up to September, when we hope to be formulating, or we expect to be formulating, the more detailed delivery plans. The makeup of those groups, which are politically balanced, has been contained within the documents that have been circulated to you. Alongside those are appointments to governance boards and panels and outside bodies, and what we've tried to do in that sense is identify which themes those different bodies might relate to, and make appointments from the relevant and respective hub advisory groups so that members can report back to those groups. That is one feature I think that we do want to make more of in future and formalise a little. Attached to the documentation that's been circulated is a report template that we will be expecting members to use who are on outside bodies to report back to their respective hub groups, and for that report then to be circulated more widely in the council, and also member profiles for those who are going to be sitting on those outside bodies. So the lists and makeup of the various groups and nominations have been circulated, and we're obviously going to be seeking ratification of that, but I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, members. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just refer, this is a question I'm pretty sure I know the answer to, but just for confirmation. Appendix A, paragraph 6 says that each advisory group will meet 3 times in a municipal year, and meetings will be held remotely over Teams. The confirmation I seek is just that we won't be restricted to 3 meetings per year, and in fact, if more meetings are required, then that is allowed within the rules.
Thank you, Councillor. The intention from a resourcing point of view is that there will be 3 meetings built into the calendar. There may also be, depending on how those groups operate and the requirements that the lead member has, there may be scope for establishing smaller, more specific groups along the lines of working groups that we've had in the past to deal with particular issues and report back. I don't think there are any plans at the moment to have more than those 3 meetings, but of course that doesn't stop members from talking to each other in the normal course of events. I'm really keen that we don't create a monster that we can't resource, and that's the real reason for setting that guideline. I hope that the meetings, as and when they occur, I hope that the meetings, as and when they occur, will be sufficient to enable the business that those groups need to transact to be carried out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dewar. I do believe that's a donation to my charity. Councillor Cheadle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wonder if Mr Molyneux might say a word or two about the allocation of officers to the advisory groups.
Mr Molyneux.
Thank you. Yes, so as SLT, we've been going through the plan for West Devon as well. So we are at the point where SLT and then the next level of officers to support those groups should be formulated by middle of next week. So we will have officers assigned to those groups so that when they meet, there'll be clear officers and ownership across all those meetings.
Thank you, Mr Molyneux. Councillor Crozier.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I note we're all busy people, and also we don't have the control of a lot of the diaries of these organisations we're involved with. In the organisation I was previously involved with, we always had deputies. If the first person on the list couldn't achieve a meeting. I just wonder if that is a consideration that you might feel you would like to make.
I believe that's permissible in some cases. However, some of the bodies, because of the voting and the rules within that particular group, I know, for example, on the Devon Strategic Waste Group that I sat on, you had to have a portfolio for that area to be able to vote within that group. So a deputy in that case would not always be the case. However, Councillor Dewar, would you like to add to that?
Thank you. I think this system is a new one, and I think we can always improve it and update it. What I would say is that those people who are nominated for outside bodies should take their responsibilities seriously. There will be reports that will be coming back, and if people aren't able to make meetings, perhaps they would liaise with the appropriate lead member and let us know, and we'll consider what changes might need to be made. I think that could include perhaps appointing deputies in situations where that may be appropriate. I'm certainly not averse to it.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? Councillor Cheadle.
Well, not so much a question, just in support of what Councillor Jury's just said. I attended the Police and Crime Commissioners meeting last week, and there, if the member of the committee could not attend, he was expected to send a deputy. They wanted no empty seats at the meeting. So some of these committees probably would welcome someone turning up rather than no one turning up. So I think it's really up to the individuals to suss out the committees they're members of and work out what's best.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. Members, if we're done with questions, Councillor Dewey, would you like to move the proposal? My apologies, Councillor Davies.
Sorry, I don't actually have a copy of Appendix A and B, but I'm assuming they're the same as in the minutes of the hub meeting of the 13th of July.
They should be on the website. It's a little bit concerning, but they are this.
I can't find any, so. Assuming nobody else has raised a question, so assuming else has got a copy, so.
So I'm just looking at my copy now, and they are on mod.gov. I've got them in the bundle. Where the confusion may be, Councillor Davies, is that this was a supplement to the main agenda. So on the line it says hub committee minutes from the 13th of July and report. It's in that supplementary bundle.
That's what I said. I thought they might be in the minutes of the hub. Yeah, that's just.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillor Kimber.
Just to say they are on the website, but the normal documents are at the top of the page. Sorry. The normal documents are available to download at the top of the page, and these are at the bottom of the page.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Drury, back to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would, in that case, like to move the recommendations that are shown on page 5 and 6 of the supplementary paper. There are 10 recommendations, and I'd like to move them and commend them to you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Members, we may now move into debate. Councillor Cheadle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The distribution of these roles today reminds us that we must all try really hard to resolve decisions in good time in order to allow members to reflect on proposals before having to decide upon them. In this digital age, this does require us all to tune in regularly and check our emails, as you yourself mentioned. Anecdotal evidence suggests that for some, checking their West Devon emails is a weekly task. I'm afraid this just won't keep up the pace that we require.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. Anybody else? In that case, members, are we prepared to vote on that proposal, please? Those in support?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, members. In that case, Mr. Molyneux, I think I win my bet. More money for the charity. Members, thank you for your attendance. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make the most of the weather. I believe showers are forecast for the end of the week.